Hi, I'm Annalia, and welcome to Brightly Becoming, a podcast that gives you the space to slow down and come back to yourself. Here we talk through life in a grounded way, where conversations are held on identity, faith, and becoming who we're called to be. If you're in a clear season or an uncertain one, I'm glad you're here either way. It's time to come back to who you are underneath what you carry. Welcome to Brightly Becoming. Your worth is not defined by your productivity. Buckle up for this one. Let's talk about it. Most of us don't consciously decide that our worth is tied to productivity. We learn it. We get rewarded for being useful, dependable, and achieving things. We get praised for being strong, for pushing through, for being the person who handles things. And if you're someone who naturally takes on this role of caring for others emotionally, you probably learned even earlier that your value increases when you're useful to someone else. So you get really comfortable putting your own feelings aside if it means someone else is okay and they're protected. And at some point, that starts to blur the line between love and responsibility, between care and self-abandonment. And then there's another layer that creeps in. You start noticing other people around you who seem like they have it figured out. They have a direction, a job path, a plan, a sense of momentum. And even if you're making huge progress, it can still feel like you're stuck in your environment while everyone else is just continuing to move forward. That feeling is hard to explain to people because nothing looks wrong from the outside. But inside, it can feel like you're watching life happen slightly ahead of you. Like you're not behind in effort, but behind in placement. And that can quietly turn into shame if we're not careful. When you're someone who naturally holds space for others, it can become your identity. You're the one who listens, the one who stays calm, the one who absorbs things so others don't have to. But there's a cost to that if it never comes back to you. Because over time, you can start to lose track of your own emotional needs while you're busy managing everyone else's experience. And then productivity becomes another place where you try to prove your value. If I'm not helping someone, fixing something, doing something, what am I? Wow, that feels really uncomfortable, right? Because while this is such a selfless act, it makes you think, wow, I'm way too comfortable dismissing my feelings if it means protecting someone. And then I'm like, where did my confidence go? Usually this doesn't collapse all at once. It shows up in much smaller ways. Feeling emotionally drained even when nothing big happened. Feeling behind even when you're actively trying. Feeling like you're making progress but still somehow stuck in the same environment you started in, like you haven't caught up to the version of life you thought you'd be in by now. Or lying down at the end of the day thinking, I did so much today, why don't I feel better? And that disconnect is where things start to crack wide open because it makes you realize productivity is not actually solving the deeper feeling. Here's something really important to separate. Movement is not the same as worth. Progress is not the same as identity. And being in a transitional season of life does not mean you are behind. You can be growing internally while your external environment still feels unchanged. You can be building clarity while still living in uncertainty. You can be becoming someone new while still being surrounded by things that no longer fit you. That tension is uncomfortable, yes, but it's not failure. It's transition. When you're used to being useful to others, to systems that were implemented in your life, to expectations, slowing down can feel unsafe. Because if you're not doing, You might just have to feel. And if you start feeling, you might just notice everything that you've been pushing past just to keep going, just to keep pushing through. So productivity becomes a kind of emotional buffer, right? Not always consciously, but when that buffer fades, you realize everything feels louder. Thoughts, comparisons, doubts. But none of that means you're falling apart. It just means you're no longer numbing these parts of you that actually need your attention. This isn't about suddenly believing you're enough. It's about starting to notice the moments where you automatically assume that you're not. Like, I should be further ahead by now. I'm wasting time. Everyone else is doing better than me. And instead of arguing with yourself, just pausing long enough to ask, what if I'm not behind? What if I'm just in a different part of life than that person is? And that's okay. Listen, this is something I struggle with every day. I'm constantly comparing myself to people, especially having health issues at 23. When I watch other people on social media being able to live their lives and go out and have fun. So you're not alone if you're struggling with this at all. It may look like someone has it all together on the outside, but you never know what they're going through. And what if your worth had nothing to do with how much you got done today? What if it also included the emotional labor you've carried for other people, the times you held yourself together quietly when no one knew you were hanging on by a thread, the moments you chose kindness instead of shutting down completely, that internal growth that no one else can see yet, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to always be visible. None of that is unproductive. You can be making real internal progress and feel like your environment just hasn't caught up yet. And none of that reduces your worth. You are not defined by how quickly your external life matches your internal growth. You are not behind because your path looks different. And you are not less valuable on the days you're not producing anything that's visible to anyone else. So if you feel like you're falling behind or you're stuck between who you used to be and who you're becoming, or like you've been giving a lot of yourself to others and quietly forgetting to include yourself in that care, I just want to offer this back to you. You are not late, you are not behind, and you are not only valuable when you are useful. Your worth is not something you earn by catching up. Thank you for being here. I hope this felt like a space where you could just slow down for a second and feel present. Wherever you are right now, you're allowed to be there. You aren't behind. You are becoming. Talk to you soon.